I'm Dr. Marianne Cintron. Thank you for being here today. Today we're going to talk about the 4 C's to embracing dyslexia. And the first C is cards, phonogram cards. When my kids were in kinder and first grade, their teachers taught phonogram cards with a company. It was called Spalding, and it was a wonderful Orton Gillingham curriculum. And it makes me think that if all children were taught with an Orton Gillingham multisensory curriculum, that kids who had dyslexia wouldn't even need to know they had it, and that they would just be improving with the other students. So it's when we got away from phonics that children started struggling with their reading. And now kids are falling behind grade levels. So we're trying to play catch up. And now 1 in 5 kids has dyslexia. So one of the most important things we can do is teach the children the letter names with the letter sounds and let them know that there's an association there. That's the first key to learning to read. And I had a student that I tutored told me, I don't understand that. And I said, well, and I'll just say his name is Joe. I said, to you, you're Joe, and to your mom, you're her son, and to your sister, you're her brother. So it's the same Joe, it's you, but you go by Joe, my brother, or my son. So I don't know if that's a really good analogy or not, but I wanted to say that when we teach the letters, we want to say the letter name and the letter sound. Now, it's understood that children come into first grade knowing their letter names and sounds. So if they don't, there's a whole new program. There's like the preschool or the TK program that helps teach letter names and sounds. But if they know the letter names and sounds, they could come into my program. And so we have our consonants, but we don't have key pictures for them because we want the kids to know those sounds already. So we would go through this and to have the child say b, 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 d, d, f, f, g, g, h, h, j, j, k, k, l, l, m, m, n, n, r, p, p. Oh, there's R again. S, s, t, t, v, v, w, w, x, x, and z, z. So we save Q for later on because it's always with QU. And we teach that together. So what you'll notice when I'm teaching, when I'm having the student drill with these cards, my chin is not dropping when I say the letters. A lot of students will say ba, da, and you want them to say b, b, d, because when they say a sound, they're adding a vowel after it. So we want to be sure they don't do that. So I'll usually do this about 10 sessions with a student, and these are our sessions. Now, most children should already know the short vowel A and the short vowel. So my phonogram cards are colorized white for the consonants and green for vowels. And I also have my cards are numbered, so you can bring them out in sets. So these are set 1, and they correspond to a printout that I give you like this, and these are set 1. So set 1 are the white consonants. Set 2 are the green vowels, A, E, I, O, and U, the short vowels. Set 3 are the CE, CI, CY, the GE, GI, GY, the J, the DGE, and I'll show you why I teach those the way I do. But I want to first show you that, well, here's that C that was missing. So when we teach the vowels, most kids will come in knowing the letter A or the A sound. So that way they can at least spell words, because it only takes one vowel per syllable. So they can spell a lot of what we call CVC or consonant, vowel, consonant words. Then we normally say a E-I-O-U, but research shows put that E at the end because you want to separate the E and the I. So you have I, you have A, and then you have I, O, U, You could say Y as E or Y as I, or you could save this for later as well. So I want to ask you a question. Do your students know the other vowel sounds? So if they don't, I have my binder that I keep my key concept cards. So this is what it would look like. If your student struggles with the vowels, you're going to have your card out as well as the picture. So they know, let's assume they know A, but we say A, X, A, X, A. And then I'll go to this one and I'll say I, wig, I. I, wig, I. Let's go to my O. O, ox, ah. O, ox, ah. Then I have my E. Oops, then I have my U, which for some reason I don't have it in here. Let's go to the E. E, bed, eh. E, bed, eh. So Orton Gillingham has their own pictures that they use with their letters. And so do Spire, and I'm sure Barton and Wilson and all the other programs have their own pictures. The Orton Gillingham pictures, you're not able to get them unless you're in the Orton Gillingham training. So before I was in my practicum, I had to create my own cards, and I didn't want to copy other people's words. So bed is a very popular word. I even have it on my wall here in my room. And we use the bed symbol a lot of times for the kids to learn the B and the D. So the letters are color coded. And one of the things I wanted to show you, first of all, is that I did a little comparison between different organizations. So how I've numbered my cards is 1 through 19. And you can introduce, it's recommended that you introduce the letters this way, because in my reading program, which was designed with the dyslexic student in mind, there's a lot of visual discrimination. So I'm trading out vowels, I'm trading out beginning, middle, ending sounds. I'm not only teaching one sound per lesson, which is the model for Spire and Orton Gillingham. So this is also the reason why I can use music with my reading program, because while the child is reading the phonics portion and they're getting mixed concepts, and kids can handle mixed concepts. It's later on down the road where we need to reinforce, because there's a lot of repetition that needs to be done anyway. So I love the idea of giving them a lot of information, let them see the richness of vocabulary, the fun in the vocabulary. So for example, we introduce H-A-T, when you add an E, it's hate. We have M-A-D, you add an E, it's made. So we have a lot of, I shouldn't have started with hate, but we have a lot of 3-letter words where when you add the E at the end, it makes the vowel long. So I love teaching that together. And so my program does that. Other programs will teach the silent E much later and focus on the beginning sounds. So I wanted to say that I think there's a lot of flexibility in what you decide to teach in the order you decide to teach. So I'm tutoring 5 students, and I noticed that maybe 3 of them need help with one concept, and then another one needs help with a different concept that someone knows. So you can share your concept notes, your lesson planning with multiple students. But then and of course you want to print your own copy out for each student. But when you have a unique situation for one student, of course, your lesson plan is going to be for that student. So, alrighty. So what I wanted to show was the order varies from group to group. I mean, the order of how you present your cards will vary from program to program, depending on the creator. So I'll repeat, mine was created with the dyslexic person in mind. So there's a lot of visual discrimination built into the program. And my vision is to retrain the brain based on the scientific research of neuroscientist Roger Sperry. So at the end of a tutoring session, we actually give a spelling test that can be 7 to 10 minutes. And the students use my app. It's called Dunking Dyslexia. And the music plays in the left ear and spelling exercises play in the right ear. So those exercises are going to be following the words that are read in this order using the visual discrimination. So of course, the first spelling exercise is 50 words, but they're all vowel, consonant, they're all consonant, vowel, consonant words. So CVC words. And you'll have students that can write at the speed that I'm speaking, which is slow. And I also repeat it 3 times. But you also have students who you might say, I want you to skip every word so that, she's not going too fast for you, and then go back to the ones you missed and do those words. And also we have scaffolds where I provide beginning sounds, and then I provide ending sounds, and then I provide vowels for those students who need to slow it down even more. So this program also is very good for second language learners. And I found that those supplemental pages with like 1A, 1B, 1C, they were very helpful for those second language learners, or even when we've worked with kinders in first grade who are just starting to learn the letter names and sounds. So how, let me see. So you have, I wanted to show you the Spire cards because they were pretty cool. So the Spire cards are pretty cool. I used to train with Spire, and so they really introduced me to the love of these phonogram cards because they had big cards and they were colorful and they had small cards. The neat thing with the small cards is if you have multiple students, you can easily order the small cards so that each child has their own set at home. And then you can use small sets if you're working on Zoom or with this online COVID experience. You can also just use the small cards for the student as well, because they can see that easily. And they have their cards broken up into green are the vowels, and we have easy vowels and then vowel teams. And then they have white are the consonants, which also includes consonant blends like these. Okay. And then we have a silent letter. It's a purple A for like a round, a like. And then they have suffixes, or, the welded sounds. So suffixes are yellow. And they have other consonant types are blue. So I like that. And but the pictures, you could order the pictures as well if you want to just work from home. Now you could order their cards or you could order my cards. Now my cards have a lot more colors. So I have blue, which are the easiest. And then I go to red, which are more difficult. Then I go to the yellows, and then I go to more reds, or actually they're kind of orangey. Actually, here is the coding of the order of difficulty, but my cards are many different colors. So all my cards are not only, what I like about my cards, they're not only numbered, so you can easily find the corresponding key concept picture, but they're also beautiful colors and they're colored in groups. So here I have, now tell me if this makes sense to you, because I just love it. We want to teach the hard and the soft C, and we want to teach the hard and the soft G. Okay, so these cards are both orange. And then E, I, and Y just is a key to some words. And if the kids are reading the K all the time and they don't understand if they should use a C or a K, this K rule, K-E, K-I, K-Y, there's that E, I, and Y again. So I like to teach those together. And right in the beginning, I like to teach the J with DGE, because DGE is at the end of a word, that's one syllable with a short vowel. J is at the beginning of the word. So I have words like judge and then fudge. So those are the cards, the key concept cards that would go with it. And so I would teach these together. So what I love about the colors, you can introduce them in the same week, one every other day. The thing with my program is every day is a fresh day. It's not teach and review, teach and review, teach and review, which a lot of other programs are. So my program is every day is a new day. So you're adding a card every 1, 2, or 3 days. And when you add, after you teach CE, CI, CY, you're going to practice it a day or two, and you're going to bring in the GE, GI, GY. And then after a day or two, you'll bring in the KE, KI, KY. And you're making a note of this in your lesson plan. So one of the unique things about my reading program is I have mini lessons, and my mini lessons teach the rules. So those first 3 days when you're working with your students, you're bringing in the mini lessons. And so you're showing them online. If you meet face to face with a student, you're just opening up your mini lessons book. And the first mini lesson talks about CE, CI, CY. And I have a slingshot in the picture, and I show how it has the 3 stones are like the E, the I, the Y. And when they shoot the C, which everybody knows is K, it's going to make it a soft C sound. And then also the G, which they know as G, is GE, GI, GY. So I'll just show you this. So here's my slingshot. And I show them that if we had 3 of these, and so the mini lessons will show that, and it shoots the G and it makes it J, J, J. So you can start off with them only knowing that it's J, or you could have them say GE, Gem, J. And let me show you the pictures for that and how that looks. So first I would have my CE. It sounds like mice, my CE. Okay. So I have the picture of scent. So first I want the student to know that these are the letters that make the C soft. CE, scent, se. And they would say CE, scent, se. CI, city, si. CI, city, si. CY, cycle, psi. CY, cycle, psi. So some students will catch onto that quicker than others. Let me show you what I do for the K. or I'm sorry, the G. So I have, this is a little tricky. I like to keep it in the plastic so I can take them out and return them when needed. So I have GE, gem, J, and then they repeat it. GI, J, gingerbread. I mean, GI, J, GI, gingerbread, J. GY, Jim, J. So there will be exceptions to the rule. We don't want to teach those exceptions now. And also the one I teach the kite, I'll say K-E-K-I-K-Y, K-E, keys, key, K-I, kite, kai, K-Y, sky, kai, okay? So you want to know that it's C-E-C-I-C-Y says S, and G-E-G-I-G-Y says J. So what I did, K-E-K-I-K-Y is kind of a riddle. So that is why I just said that all together up first, and then I showed the pictures. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. And once, it's really interesting. The students want to know these rules. And we have students, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, even 6th grade, who have seen this time and time again, and they want to know these rules up front. Some of the other programs don't show it until level 5 or level 4. And I like showing it up front. So let me ask you a story, or share a story with you. I heard a story about a young girl who was cooking with her mom, and her mom always cut off the ends of the roast and put it in the oven for dinner. And one day the girl just said, "Mom, why did we cut off the ends of the roast?" And the mom said, "I don't know. My mom always did it that way." And she goes, "I'm going to ask my mom." So she called her mom. "Hey, Mom, why did you always cut off the ends of your roast when we had pot roast?" And the mom said, "I don't know. My mom always did that." She said, "I'm going to call my mom." So that woman called her mom and said, "Hi, Mom. I just have a question for you. How come you always cut the ends off your roast when we had pot roast?" And the great grandma said, "Well, because my pan wasn't big enough." So the daughter was so embarrassed, and she called her daughter. And then that daughter was embarrassed, and she told her daughter, "You know what? Great grandma just didn't have a big enough pot. So we don't have to cut the ends off our roast anymore." And I don't know about you, but when I ever have prime rib, those end cuts are very delicious. So just because somebody has done it their way, there are research-based strategies of when to teach the consonants. And, sometimes just what makes sense to you, go ahead and teach it your way. And so another thing I like to teach together is ch and tch. So I will tell the student ch will be at the beginning of a word and the end of a word. TCH is at the end of a word with a short vowel. And I'll show the picture. So they'll go ch, chip, ch. And most kids know ch. So when you give a picture with it, it's visual. Putting that vision in the picture in the brain really helps when it's associated with the phonics card and the sound. So then I'll say, but TCH also says ch. And here is a picture. Ch, catch, ch. So do you see the short vowel, a? Well, it needs a protector, and that's what the T does. The T protects the short vowel in a one-syllable word. And they know words like watch and witch. It's funny, when it's Halloween time is often when I'm teaching this. So they want to know, why does a witch have a T in it? Because it's protecting the short vowel sound. So I like teaching it that way. And it's the same reason I like to teach J with DGE. And I teach these in the beginning as well. So I'm going to go to my phonogram card number. This is number 3. So it's set 3. And it's real easy for me to find it in my book. Here's fudge. Okay, so it's DGE at the end of a word, and it protects a short vowel sound. Now remember, there's going to be a lot of repetition that the kids will need. So don't think they're just going to get it right away. But for this one, they will say J, judge, J, judge, J. So I show them when they have the red J, that's when they're getting to the higher level because they've already known this J in the white cards, right? So when they get to this higher level, they're rewarded because they know they're getting into the harder concepts and that they're achieving something really super. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to address was, let me see what time it is. Okay. In my curriculum, I wanted to talk about the S and the SE. I teach those up front. And I like to say when we talk about nouns and we have cats and dogs and noses and houses, if we add an S to those words, it makes it plural. And we know that kids develop their vocabulary by adding suffixes, adding plurals. And so if we have small words, we can easily introduce a plural and talk about it. And you can even share a rule. And then in my 9-step lesson plan, there actually is a designated step in there, which is step 8. And you would bring in the mini lessons and you could teach the rule about adding S or when you add ES. And then also I can talk about S or ES with verbs because when we talk about verb noun agreement. So if we want to say, if there's a single verb, the boy watches the dog. So the boy, and we have the word watch, and we want to add ES, that is making it a present tense. So there's a way to bring in different rules when you're teaching my program. When I'm working with the Orton Gillingham, a lot of the rules are all taught individually, and that's okay. I see the value of that. I see, teach one concept, review it. One concept, review it. One concept, review it. And then every time you're teaching one concept, you're also reviewing previous concepts, but the concept that's new for the day, you're going to review that the next day. And that's the Orton Gillingham model, and it has value. And that's when rules are taught the same way. But I like my program, at least for the first 6 weeks of 25 to 30 sessions. I've even had students come with me to 75 sessions. And once they hit about 30 to 40 sessions, I have a level 2 that I can introduce you to show you how you would reinforce some of the concepts that were taught. But let me get into some of the other phonogram cards for you. So we have a card, and it's a blue card. And so for me, if you want to take out, it's a blue card, and let me see where we have it here. It's the, let me see. It's the blue card, double F, double L, and double S. So I like to even cover this right now. So these are the floss words. These are the sounds kids will learn, 1-syllable words with a short vowel that end in double F, double L, double S. And so in my phonics reading, there's specific pages that have these kinds of words where you can teach the floss words. Another thing that's, I'm going to just go through this list and I'm going to show you what's very interesting. So we used to say welded sounds of ink, ank, onk, and unk, and then we would say ing, ang, ong, ung. So you know that the ng is like ng, it's smushed together like one sound, ng, and unk is also squished together like one sound. I told the student, it's like having my peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my lunch bag and my apple was in the same bag and it smushed it. So the peanut butter and jelly are separate, but they're smushed. So it's ung and unk. So in my program, I actually separated them, ink, ank, onk, unk, because I like to teach the ink words and then the ank words and then the onk words and then the unk words. And I noticed that Spire and Orton Gillingham like to keep those together, and I'm fine with that. Any of these that are spread out, you can move them up and teach them together. And so we don't really say welded sounds, but, or the Orton Gillingham doesn't call it welded, but you definitely want to separate the E, unk. So it's two fingers with one sound, and you want to separate E, ng. So it's one sound for that. So I want to point that out, and I like to teach, and they like to teach those up front, towards the beginning. And we have another card, blue card. It's the So He Fly card. What the heck is that? Well, this is the open syllable word card. So anything that ends in a vowel is your open syllable. So he fly. So when you're learning and teaching phonogram cards, kids are being prepared to learn how to read. So you're going to have a teaching moment where you're going to teach open syllables. And so that's how we teach the So He Fly. And when you're teaching these sounds, now again, in my reading program, you're not necessarily just reading the words that you're introducing that day or the sounds you're reading that day, because there's a lot of review and bringing in new and review. And the kids really do love it because they love the variety. A lot of kids with dyslexia have ADHD. And I had a dyslexic man just tell me the other night that some of the lessons are just so boring for the kids. Teachers need to change it up and make it exciting. And I think this is why my program is exciting, because it is changing it up. It's not one concept a day, one concept a day. You know, it's not. It changes it up. And sometimes they don't know what to expect the next day. And then also when we work in the phonics reading, that's when they can listen to music in the left ear. So I give you my app for free for 2 months when you go through my reading program training. And the app is called Dunking Dyslexia, but I give you a web app. So the student plays, they put their earbuds in and they're playing classical music in the left ear while they're doing the reading of this phonics. And they'll read for about 10 minutes. And sometimes they're going to get into some trickier, more difficult words, and that's okay. There might be a time you read the word and they repeat it, or there might be a time where you read the word and ask them what this said they can annotate when they're reading and ask them to underline the CE, CI, CY. And it's just a lot of fun and engaging. So after they work in the phonics book, we do a little bit of phonemic awareness with a whiteboard. And I'll show you, I may show you that later, but it's in my training. But then we bring in the workbook. Now the junior workbook has phonics in it as well. So now this is where they're actually writing the concepts that they're learning, starting with rhymes, starting with picking the right vowel that's going to make the word be correct, starting with, and then ending with picking the right ending letter that's going to make the word be correct. And fun, engaging workbooks. So then following this list again, something that's real interesting is the D, the ED sound, which has three sounds. Now, I like to introduce that up front because it's actually in the reading program up front. So ED actually has three sounds. It sounds like ed, it sounds like d, and it sounds like t. A lot of times when kids are writing, they want to put t because it sounds like t. But here's where you're teaching them the phonics rule that in the past tense, a regular verb will have ed after it, but it'll have many different sounds. And so that's when I bring out that phonogram card and I'll show the picture that ed says ed, d, and t. I'll go ahead and get that for you. So the neat thing is when you have your key concept pictures in a binder, you can flip through it so fast and find out what the number is. So this is 10-3. So I can easily find my card if I keep them in order. So here I can show the student that the ED says sifted, ed. It's curled, d. And then it's cracked, t. So the ED has three different sounds. And that just is a light bulb going off. That's their aha moment. That ED says ed, d, and t. So I revisit some of these phonograms a couple times. And then I like to keep with the flow of the reading program. And after more of an advanced stage, I'll bring it back and I'll do what Orton Gillingham has caught is a trace copy cover close, where we actually write ED down and we say it, and then it's a different drill, but I teach that in my level 2. Okay, so there's so much information here that you don't want to get overwhelmed. So the other things I like to teach together are the bossy R words. So we have that's IR, UR, ER, and we have AR and OR. So I've learned that students need these separated. So they're going to learn all the ER words, and then they will add the IR, and they will add the UR. And I even put in a Venn diagram where I can put bossy R in the middle and have them write IR words, UR words, ER words. And it's going to need to be reviewed over and over again, but at least they're getting that introduction and we're making those synapses in the brain get created. And then we have EAR and WOR, which don't have very many words. Now, Spire and Orton Gillingham won't even teach the bossy R's till level 5 or till pretty deep into their program. So feel comfortable keeping this till later on. I have it as one of the red coded cards. These are the more difficult sounds. So feel comfortable that you're not into having to do that right away. And then we have suffixes. We have est, ish, li, ing. And again, Orton Gillingham teaches the suffixes way later, like at level 6. And Spire will do it in level 4. Or no, they do it in level 3. The thing is, a child can be tested to find out what they know. And they might understand vowel, consonant, E, which would be along the long vowel sound. But when they have that vowel, consonant, E with a suffix, they won't know to drop the E. So that's a whole lesson in itself when you're teaching suffixes. And it's fun to teach, but it is a phonics rule. So then I love the vowel consonant LE, or it's the consonant LE. So this is a syllable type. Orton Gillingham calls these turtle words. And you could see why, because TURTLE, it sets it establishes a model of how to syllableize these. So turtle, these are called turtle words. And also we'll call them consonant LE. So the kid might want to say, okay, so this is full, tull, bull, dull, gull, coal, pull, and zol. And that L for dyslexic children, that L ends up all over the place. So when they can learn that the FL goes together, because it's a turtle word, FLE, it's different from the suffix FUL. So we have another card that would be a suffix. So we have FUL, but you could even show them together. One is a suffix, one is a syllable. Okay. The other thing that's very fun is the vowel consonant E, which is our long vowel sound. And that's actually a syllable type again. So we have E consonant E says E. I consonant E says I. O consonant E says O. U consonant E says U. A consonant E says E. And it's nice because as the student starts looking at it, eventually they're just going to say E, I, O, U, A. And when they see the words, they may not make that connection. So you want to be sure that when you're teaching this, you're finding the pages that those words are on. Now, when you're using my phonics book, you can actually move ahead in the phonics reading and find the pages that are related specifically to this when you're introducing it. And then just make a note of that in your lesson plan and go back where the student left off, okay? Because you really do want to reinforce with words when you're teaching something tricky like this. The other thing I want to talk about are the vowel teams. We have vowel teams like EA, OU, IE, EE. We have OW and OE, which I think would be easy to teach earlier than other ones. So we have like snow, SNOW, and then we have the word plow, plow the snow. So you could teach OW. OW says O, OW says ow, oh, ow. So you can teach them in a way that makes sense to you with the pictures. And then AY and AI both say A. AY says A at the end of a word. AI says A in the middle of a word. So I'll introduce it, but then I will separate them out and I will show words that only have that vowel sound. And then another fun thing that I learned with Orton Gillingham was the wild old words. So we have words that have ILD, OLL, OST, IND, and OLD. And there's actually a mnemonic that is taught. The kind old troll is wild but kind. I mean, the kind old troll is wild. And you could say colt. How is it? The wild colt, the colt and troll are wild but kind. So there's a mnemonic that we share. And those are definitely towards the end as well. It's the wild old words are one of the last that I put on my list because I never knew how Orton Gillingham taught it. But even Orton Gillingham keeps it towards level 4 and Spire teaches it towards level 3. But if you see it and your student's ready to learn it, that's how you could introduce it. And you want to find those words that are related to that group of letters. So what I wanted to share with you is how do you get these words, okay? Well, you can order my phonics reader and my mini lessons with my student workbooks. So they're available for purchase. And in my scope and sequence, I list so here are all the concepts, and I list where you can find them in the junior workbook or the senior workbook, if they're in the phonics reading, or if they're in the mini lessons, okay? So I show you where you can find those concepts in my program. And then the other thing is you can order words from Spire, a phonics reader. You could order on Amazon, they have the Orton Gillingham, ABCs of Orton Gillingham, pretty pricey, but they're there if you want to invest the money. I think it's $500 on Amazon to get the ABCs of Orton Gillingham. But if you're serious about this and you want to take teaching cards seriously, I think mine are very easy to teach. And also, the Orton Gillingham doesn't have the cards that you can purchase unless you're taking the practicum or the training, and they don't have the pictures to go with it, which is another advantage to order from me, because I have those pictures for you and I have the cards and they're all numbered. So if you have any questions, I'm going to ask people to email me, because I would love to answer any of the questions you have. I just wanted you to know that also when we're teaching phonogram cards, we're also teaching that these are part of syllable types. Like I said, the turtle words, BLE, that's a turtle syllable type. And then vowel consonant E is a syllable type. And then vowel teams, AY, AI, that's a syllable type. The other syllable types are the so, he, fly, syllable type. And then we have, of course, the closed syllable, which is for cat and dog. And it's nice to know how you can introduce that to the student when you're introducing a card, because when they're trying to write, you're telling them you could ask them, what kind of syllable type is that? And it's going to reinforce all the conics for all the concepts. Teaching reading is tricky. And when students know the phonics rules and the grammar rules, it all makes sense. One of the things we like to do is have a child read nonsense words, which are, of course, non-real words, and see if they could figure out how they would sound out a nonsense word using phonics rules. And dyslexic children won't know how to do that unless they've learned that phonics rule. And it's the same with teaching them unfamiliar sentences and words. So if they haven't been taught the rule, they cannot figure it out and they won't know it. And that's real clear evidence that they do have those deficiencies in phonological awareness. So I hope this has helped you, and email me with any of your questions. And remember, if you had a series of numbers from 0 to 10, how would you add those numbers? There are many ways to add those numbers. You could add the 0 and the 10 and move in. You could add from beginning to end. You could start with sets of groups of 10. There's so many ways to come up with the total of 55. And as long as we end up at the right place, there's different ways to do different things. But I think what I have captured in my step-by-step reading is dynamite. And while I'm learning the Orton Gillingham model to develop my level 2, I believe that my level 1 reading program using the music with phonics is cutting edge, and kids are making 1 to 3 year gains in only 6 weeks. So check it out. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to talk to you real soon. Bye-bye now.